Welcome to the Global Apparel Sourcing Expo, organized by the International Apparel Foundation. I'm Ramon Tenga of PwC's Strategy and strategic consultancy that works with global fashion companies and startups, and is an official partner of this great conference program. So happy to be here. And I'm even more excited to be joined here today by Camilla Olson, founder and CEO of Savitude. Camilla, thanks for your time today. I'm so glad that you're here. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself before we dive right into on how Savitude has impacted the industry?
Good morning, Ramon. It's nice to meet you this morning as well. I'm coming to you from Palo Alto, California. It's early in the morning here. So I started in the biomedical space a couple of years ago, and actually started off in electron microscopy, and worked at Johnson & Johnson and Becton Dickinson on the operating side, and then moved into venture capital. And from there, I just stayed on in the new company side. Stayed in venture capital for about 4 years because I was really attracted to the other side of the table. And I just started founding companies. So I'm an idea person. So my trick is finding where needs are and taking technology from one space and putting it where it can be used more effectively. So I've done that again and again, many times. I started about 5 companies in the biomedical space. The last 2 were predictive modeling companies. One went public and the other one was acquired for $95 million a year after we launched it. And then it had enough. I thought I retired and I went back to school for fun and earned an MFA in fashion design, and earned the right to launch my graduation label for a runway show at Lincoln Center during Mercedes Benz Fashion Week. Ended up getting some orders, which led me to launching my own label. So I had an e-commerce label for 5 years, and unfortunately learned about returns and how embarrassing it is to have your clothes returned. So I thought it was my dirty secret. So I researched it to get rid of this dirty secret. And I realized it was everybody's secret. And so I spent 4 years experimenting with how to solve this problem in my own label. And I put together what I learned there with what I had done in the predictive modeling companies, and realized that their solution was really an AI company. And I shut down my label and launched Savitude.
Very interesting. And that's how you came to start Savitude.
Yes. Yeah.
Excellent. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what Savitude is, what problem you are right now solving with your technology, and bring to us a little bit what it is exactly that you're doing.
Okay. Well, I'll get started then. Okay, and I'll share the screen and just dive in. Okay. Well, Savitude is our technology enables designers and merchandisers to deliver a personalized fit for everyone. So as we say, better fit, reduce waste, AI design intelligence. We believe we're revolutionizing fashion design so that anyone can create new fashions that fit all of their customer base, that are current with trends and reflect the designer's aesthetic. So getting the assortment right will give happier customers, greater margins, and less excess inventory, and opportunities to participate in on-demand and custom manufacturing. All good things for the industry and goals for what people want to do. So if we go to the next slide, we can see what where the inefficiencies and the waste are top issues in the industry. So the fact that there are generalized sizes and inefficient supply chain are causing waste and reduced margins. High omni-channel returns is a big issue. Digital marketing is expensive, and also consumers object to receiving emails and they feel intruded upon with personal information. And sustainable processes are needed. So these are some of the top issues that the industry itself wants to see solved. These are ways that Savitude addresses these top issues. So we offer efficient ideation where designers, we offer a way to help designers do very fast, thorough ideation, exploration of ideas for design that include all customers. We do trend tracking by geography over time so that we can be more specific in the supply chain. We reduce returns with fit recommendations and highly targeted tagging. We have an anonymized loyalty program so that through Instagram, so consumers don't need to receive emails. And all of this is put together in a sustainable program, so there's much less going into landfill at the end of the year, supplemented by refashioning, taking items out of the landfill. And all of that's because of a new kind of knowledge base based on design details. So what I want to talk about is how we developed our AI fashion design studio. We never set out to do this, but we thought it was the only way to solve the fit problem. And first I want to go over the fundamentals of cut and curves, which is the basis of our technology. And then the first product we created, which is our recommendation technology, and how we found that that was really just like a Band-Aid on the solution. And we realized that through analytical fashion and trend analysis, we could actually solve the problem of fit by creating a fashion design studio. So the hourglass body shape is the industry standard, right? So in Savitude's world, we have 729 body shapes. That's because we look at 9 bodies, 9 body shapes, 3 shoulder types, 3 torsos, 3 body heights, and 3 body weights. So if you multiply that out, that's 729. And we use that in every one of our products. And so everything we do is highly personalized. Now, you can't possibly do that without the aid of AI. And we do all of that assigning design details to everything we do. So what do we mean by assigning design details? What does all of that mean? So I'm going to start you out with how our thinking began. So this is our cut and curves presentation. So it's fair to say that the current way we design fashion is broken, okay? Just based on the fact that it's all based on the hourglass body shape. So these are the 9 body shapes that we use. We did an analysis of the fall 2019 runways, and we found that designers were primarily designing for the hourglass and the body shapes that were let's say, top heavy, were for large busted women, but very few designs for the rest of women. So no wonder that half of women hate to shop, because the designers are not designing for their curves and proportion. So we also studied the reasons for returns. Now here's an issue, and it's where our results are different from what you normally hear. We always hear fit is the problem, but really what does fit mean? And you need to ask the right question. So what we found is that size is the number 2 reason for returns. The number 1 reason for return is a poor relationship between shape and the design details and the silhouette of the clothing. Now, what does that mean? Now I'm going to give you 8 examples of what that means. So for an hourglass woman, both of these women will work just fine on her. She could buy either of them. She'll be happy. She'll look great. If you're a bottom hourglass body shape, you don't have that choice. The only option you have is the one on the right. Because the one on the left, you'll see where the arrows are pointing in, that the hips will just break through the lower half of the dress. If you buy that based on size, you have to buy the size based on the hips. But the bust, the top half, will be swimming in the dress. And getting a dress retailored for a bust is nightmarishly expensive. And with this kind of a neckline, impossible. So this is one example of what we mean by a shape being the problem, not size. So a lot of people would say this is a size problem. Wrong. This is a silhouette problem. Dresses that fit don't always flatter. So this is a problem that we see on the street. This is why half of women that are walking down the street look unattractive, and that's because no one is designing for their body shape. Where people are taking an easy way out and designing dresses that fit, but they're not designing clothes that flatter body shapes that they normally don't see in a dress form or a mannequin. Typically, they'll design a column dress, which is easy to design, and cover it up with prints or surface treatments, but it doesn't make anyone look good at all. You can consider accessories, a belt or a V-neck, but it's better to really look at design details to help someone look better. So here with this rectangle body shape, you can turn a boring dress into exciting purchases here with a V-neck, adding a V-neck or adding princess seams. Turning a sheath dress into a V-neck or adding princess seams can make a rectangle person look so much better. So here's an oval body shape. Again, another shape that's, hard to make look great. But with design details, you can easily help her look outstanding with V-necks, with peplum, and long necklaces. But if you think carefully, you can help women in this body shape look good. So I've been talking about dresses, but the same thing goes with pants and tops. So here are a couple of top examples. And these are women who have wide shoulders. So tops that fit don't always flatter, and there's so many, round neckline out there, but, consider square necklines, because that really cuts off, I think of the real estate, so that wider necklines or larger busted women look more attractive. And this is the last one here, is stripes can often be disastrous for so many people, but if we think a little more creatively about stripes, it can be a much more exciting purchase for many people. So just in conclusion, in this part of my talk, I want to say that thinking a little more creatively about thinking about different body types, you can greatly increase your market share. So over the past 4.5-5 years, we have built core technology that embody this kind of thinking. We first built an e-commerce SaaS-based solution called the AI Curator, and we soon realized that what we built was really just the tip of the iceberg, but we had a much greater opportunity in front of us. But what we did have with the AI Curator had an 11% lift, a proven 11% lift. So we knew we could fix the problem if we went back into development and built the design studio product. So design intelligence is our technology, and it thinks like a designer. So earlier I showed you the 8 ideas and those 8 slides. So if we were to stretch and say that they were styling or fashion design rules to consider, and there were 8 of them, so now we have 40,000 rules, plus color, plus print, plus texture in our knowledge base. And of course, that's really all surrounded by different kinds of AI and bundled into the trend, separately into Design Studio, and separately into Curator. They're 3 entirely separate products, but they all use the same core design intelligence technology. Now, everything about our design, our knowledge base, and the nuances of our image recognition technology stack are unique to our point of view and give us a substantial competitive advantage. We don't take algorithms and force them into design. We take design language and build AI around it and into it, so that design is driving everything we do, not algorithms. We have an exceptional visual recognition system to identify more design details to build our library further. So first we built our AI Curator, which is now available as an app on Shopify. And Shopper's Complete, as you see on the left, very simple quiz, 6 questions. And we recommend, and then from that, we can recommend every item that's in the store that will look good on them. So what we do is we understand aesthetics and what will make someone look good versus what will detract from their appearance. So here's some screenshots from what we do, the actual screenshot of the quiz intake, and then of a recommendation. Our recommendations always comes in outfits for by occasion. We also can include jewelry and accessories if they are in your shop. And then we also have visual search that is based on design details. So, you know, keep everything we have here in this item, but change the neckline or change the sleeve. So everything we do is based on thinking as a fashion designer and by design details. So the benefits of an AI Curator are that it focuses on designs for all body shapes. So if you're shopping in a store, once you take the quiz, the shopper will see everything that looks good on her. So, you know, the user testing is really fun to watch. People, everything they don't like is not present in front of them. So it's easy shopping. There is an 11% lift after returns. And the Find Similar also had very good results. So something new that we do that is that we quantify brand DNA. So we know that there's a problem with the fashion houses, the traditional fashion houses that, you know, when the designers leave, and the new designer comes in, they want to maintain their brand DNA, but how do you measure the brand DNA? How do you know what it is? So we actually can quantify it. And as a design collection, a designer is creating their collection, we can analyze that collection and tell you whether it is within the current defined brand DNA, or if it's going off of it. So that can be very useful and kind of an insurance as a design house hires on new design talent. So similarly, we can do trend analysis by taking in image sources. We can analyze the trends. And this is kind of a fun thing. I mentioned earlier that we did runway analysis. So this is New York, Paris, Milan, and London. And each row are different design details. The first chunk are silhouette, and then there you can see neckline, and then shoulder. So you can see about 2/3 of the way down in neckline, there's one where in New York there's a little bit of green, and then in Paris it's kind of orange, and then yellow, and then orange again. And I happen to know that that row is the cutout shoulder trend this is for fall 2019. And as we interpret that, it was still coming up, but fading, but that a cutout shoulder was still, as a somewhat rising trend in New York. It was definitely out in Paris, definitely out in London, and going out in Milan. So that's how we would interpret this. Kind of interesting, isn't it? So when you put all that together, of course we have this in a much more detailed level. We can track design details, trends, and groups of design details as they enter a trend cycle. And we can track it as it goes throughout the trend cycle. We can track it over time, over geography, and even by demographic. So this is going into my favorite topic. This is the new design studio. And so this is where, when we first came up with this idea, I said, absolutely, we are not doing this, because I was fearful that we may hurt fashion designers, because I'm a fashion designer. And I was like, no, I don't want to take away their jobs. But I consulted with people I respect and thought about it more, and I realized we were actually going to help them. Whereas, 3D technology comes in and it's really helping the industry, but fashion designers need to use it, but it is the demand on them of more time. It takes time, and it's hard to use, and it's kind of alien to them to work in this way. So we worked really, really hard to create something that was familiar to them, that was helpful. So what we wanted to do was to create something that helped them become more creative and gave us the opportunity to do a lot of analysis to support their work, to help them create more and better for more people, with the goal of keeping clothes out of the landfill. So today, fashion designers use some kind of a drawing implement, and they draw on paper, or they might use Adobe's Photoshop or Illustrator. And they can still do that with Design Studio, but we help them iterate faster. Once they have a new design on paper, let's say they do it on paper, they can scan that in, and we can iterate that, and that we could give them new ideas that they can draw, and then iterate that. So it helps them process ideas faster. So we can do trillions of ideas in seconds, and then we rank them in order of the aesthetic most pleasing, and we sort them so that they're within their brand DNA and on trend with the trend that they've identified. So this is how it works. If we start on the left, this is actually how designers work. Maybe they'll have a mood board, official mood board, but they'll gather inspiration. So we'll take images of inspiration. So the whole system is entirely based on images from the designer perspective. So she'll input images for inspiration, just files. For the brand DNA, at this point, this is something that we do for them. And I think next month it will be automated so that they can do it themselves. And this is something that we would upload, say, from Vogue or from their brand's own archives. So we would just take what they have put on the catwalk, what their historical designs have been, and that would become their brand DNA, or however they define it. And then we would need ideas for trend. So for the luxury houses, could well be empty because they set trend. But for the rest of us, we would use trend. It could be from trend reports. You could simply put in a hashtag and then we would go find those images. It could be specific designs, designer selected images. Or it could be images from influencers. What some influencers wearing on the runway, for example, somewhere, or on the red carpet somewhere. And once all those files are uploaded, which is pretty simple to do, and then just tap the Ideate Designs button, and then this file you'll see on the right, these designs will suddenly start appearing, and you can analyze them. And you can see in the red rectangles at the bottom percentages. This is an analysis based on body shape, the body shape spoon. How appropriate is that dress for a spoon-shaped body? And they're ranked in the order of, high to low suitability. So I'm going to take over sharing.
The first is inspiration. The second is brand DNA. The third is trend. What we can do then is we can take these sets of inputs and we can use them together or individually to create designs. So here we have, for example, a collection that's based entirely off of the N78 brand DNA. And what we've done here is we've actually extracted from that project a set of design details that we can use in our drawing system. And so not only are these designs being created with that brand DNA in mind, but they're actually being created to the style that brand encompasses. So these are all generated using that custom asset library. We can take these designs that have been created and we can actually analyze them in the context of any of the inputs, as well as body shape and proportion. So what we can do is we can look at the set of designs that have been created and we can analyze, for example, how on trend they are for a particular trend, or how well suited they are for a particular body shape.
So just to sum up, so if we can take everything we've talked about, to sum up, we can take everything we've talked about, our design suggestions, and then a population description by city, which we get from the results of the quiz from the AI Curator, and then our trend cycle analysis, and put that into our knowledge-based technology. And we have distribution intelligence. So we can recommend where a better distribution system of we're putting items where the trends will be optimal to fit the right body shapes. so we can match designs and body shape and trend for better sales. This works really well for refashioning. To say you've got excess inventory, and we want to take that into our technology, and then we can, like, no designer wants to touch any excess inventory, and our technology has no attitude. It'll refashion anything you put at it, throw at it. But we can take that with population distribution and trend forecasts, and with a cost estimate, decide, okay, we can refashion this. We have 3 choices. Well, we're going to pick the choice where we know that trend is going to be peaking in a city that we know we can sell it to. So we can be more informed about the refashioning decisions we're about to make, rather than me making them blind or just based on cost alone, because it could be worth the investment because we know we can sell it in Dusseldorf because that trend's going to be peaking soon, for example. And that's it. I wanted to thank you very much for watching that. That was quite a mouthful.
Indeed, it was. Thanks, Camilla, for sharing that. I think that was really interesting to see how technology really can revolutionize the fashion industry when taking data into consideration into the design phase. Now, allow me maybe a quick follow-up question. Where do you see your technology right now? What is the tech that is? Where are you at right now?
So right this very minute, we are in beta, and we're talking to a couple of big companies that are pretty interesting. But we're really focused on this beta because we wanted to work directly with a customer to finish out the UI, because we're really going for flow, because we want to really encourage that creative flow. Mm-hmm. So we're working with a company called Superkin, not a maternity brand. They're just adorable millennial moms. So they call it Superkin, not a maternity brand, because they're reimagining that stale category of building a brand that empowers millennial moms. Miriam and Tara are both retail and tech executives, and they came to us looking to streamline their ideation process. They're still in the pre-seed stage, so agility and cost efficiency are key to them. And due to COVID, their designer had to take a step back from the business. And so for Superkin, working with our team has been, to ideate their next product drop this fall has been, really helpful, and will coincide with the COVID virus baby boom. So it's kind of a totally fun story, and they're local here, and they're just wonderful to work with. They're just a joy, they're a tech company's dream beta group.
Yeah, now that's really interesting to see where you're at right now. And you already, you moved a little bit into the second question that I had. Maybe you can elaborate a little bit on how has the COVID situation really impacted on your work and your product that you're offering?
Yeah, it's interesting. So we were doing a program with let's say a market intelligence group earlier this summer, but we had to postpone it or reinvent it because a lot of designers had been furloughed because of COVID. And so that was horrible to see that impact the story. You just couldn't talk to anyone. So it was frightening to how disrupted the industry was.
I imagine, yeah.
So there was a third So last year there was $500 trillion of clothes that went into the landfill. That happens every year, a monstrous amount of clothes. And this year we were on trend to deliver a third more than nor expected. Ridiculous. And so that made us want to, even though it was like, how are we going to do this, made us more determined to get this product out because of refashioning. So we were not thinking about refashioning. We were really focusing on demand as our first product entry, but it made us think more about refashioning.
Right. Wow. Yeah. No. Thanks, Camilla. That's really helpful. And thanks again for taking the time today. I think this was a really interesting topic, and really, at least for me, very, very, very educational what you're bringing to the industry. So thanks again for sharing that.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, so I think we can cut the recording right here.
Okay. Awesome. Yay. Done.
Yeah. Let me get feedback from the cutter on how that is going to play out itself. Thanks again for your time, Camilla. I thought this really interesting, and this is the first interview that I did, via Teams, to be honest. So COVID is impacting me too. But yeah, I hope that the technical difficulties were not too impeding.
No, it was fine. It was nice to meet you.
The pleasure was all mine, Camilla.
Nice to do this. I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Me too.
It was fun to put this together because I worked all day yesterday on it because I wanted to put the story together from beginning to end. So I hope it's interesting, and I'm hopefully it will be useful to some people.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
No, thank you.
Lovely to meet you, sir.
No, the pleasure was all mine. Thanks, Camilla. You have a good one.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye for now.
Bye.